This broadcast, telecast, podcast, and whatever the hell else it is copyrighted by the Rad Network and the Rob and Steve Sports Show, all found at theradnetwork.com, and is for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, accounts, or descriptions of this madness without the express permission of the Rad Network and Williams Broadcasting and Rob's Really Mean Lawyers is prohibited. So just don't do it. It's the Rob and Steve Sports Show.
Oh, and some nasty stuff in there. There needs to be a bite almost. Holyfield is very unhappy. Look at this. It looked as if Tyson bared his teeth at one stage in the exchange.
Yes,
Bit his ear.
He bit his ear. That's what Holyfield was in. A lot of pain from that. You see the blood on the ear. That was definitely a bite.
Welcome to 2 hours of sports and nothing but sports.
In the eighth inning, leading by 3 as Boone hits it to deep left. That might send the Yankees to the World Series. Boone, a hero in Game 7.
Email the show at ras@theradnetwork.com.
Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fires to the end zone. Touchdown! Alabama wins!
And now the Rad Network presents the Rob and Steve Sports Show.
I mentioned before, you try at these times of the year where there's not a dominating. You always know what's gonna be happening in the sports world. You try to mix it up. If you listen to us from the very beginning, if you listen to us at the same time every day, we did basketball yesterday, but it's the biggest story in sports at 11 a.m. here on Wednesday, August 12th. Welcome to the show. You can watch live. If you watch on YouTube anytime, make sure you subscribe. I mean, there it is, Steve. Nobody really saw this coming. The Los Angeles Lakers are being sold by Mark Walter, who purchased the controlling interest in the team from the Buss family a year ago at the then record franchise valuation of $10 billion. He said today that owning the Lakers has been one of the great honors of his life for a year. Pointed out it was an extraordinary investment. I'll say 25% back in 1 year on his money. They are the same group, TWG, that owns the Los Angeles Dodgers, according to ESPN. This is it. This is all Walter is selling. However, Walter, who built his financial empire in the insurance industry, is under federal investigation for tax fraud and other companies tied to him. U.S. prosecutors in Manhattan are looking at insurance companies controlled by him. The SEC is looking at and running a parallel investigation. Story stands. ESPN says, yeah, but he's only selling the Lakers. There's so many questions, including we've been for the last year, Steve, writing the Lakers are the Dodgers now. They're run by the Dodgers, and they've been acting kind of like they're being run by the Dodgers this offseason. What happens to all of that if the sale goes through? It just has to be approved by the board of governors, and then we'll get to the new buyers. But what I assume all the Dodger people are going away.
I think if I'm the Dodgers, I'm a little bit concerned here. Right now, they are going with the Lakers. Heck, had a buyer lined up, the group that's buying the Lakers. I'd put in a bid for the Las Vegas expansion team. That $12 million, so they would have been right on $12 billion, right on Rob's number for what he thought was going to be the expansion fee purchase for this team. I've been concerned all along about the Dodgers, and this is the first step, and we'll see where the investigation goes. And the reason I've been more concerned with the Dodgers is all of their deferred payments that are sitting out there. The Lakers, you pretty much know exactly what's on your books and how it's getting paid. But now if you're going out and paying, if you were to purchase the Dodgers and you have, what are we talking, $1 billion or whatever it is, plus sitting out there in deferred payments that's going out starting in, 7-10 years, and it goes for the next 7-10 years, whatever that is, that's where I think it gets a little bit more interesting, is how do we, any business that's sold, you got debt on the books, but this is debt that goes beyond what the typical business of baseball would have on the books. And to me, and again, pure speculation, I think with the two investigations that are going into this, some of the things that are being reported. It doesn't surprise me. I'm curious where it's fully going to go. And if it is, okay, I got 12 billion here, we can rectify the Dodgers and get everything cleaned up with the investigations so where you're not questioning anything and we'll move forward. That's the part that I'm fascinated in.
It is an odd set of circumstances. Again, to sell a team a year later is odd. Although to have 25%
Mm.
profit put in your pocket, but sometimes you just bite it. Now, the way it's reported, Steve, is that Walter himself is the one being investigated,
Mhm.
as opposed to necessarily TWG Global, which he's CEO, and I get it, he's CEO and all that. But if if that's right, unless I'm either misunderstanding or misinterpreting, why doesn't he just resign then? And let the TWG go on, and he can still run it. He will. It's like when a manager gets kicked out and sits in the back of the dugout and goes, "Tell him to swing here."
And this is the part I don't fully understand all the laws and all of that. My understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is he owns an insurance company, and with the
Yeah.
insurance company, you sell off to other companies this money, whatever, and you're only allowed, I think, in the like 5% of what you can do. But my understanding is he has sold off to his other companies, which then pads it on both ends up to 39%, which is
Oh.
way beyond the 5% that you're allowed to. So it might be one of those, hey, look, I need to cover that 34% that's sitting out there, which is really what's causing the investigation. So if I take this and sell the Lakers and I put 2 billion or 12 billion, whichever way you break it down, maybe that covers that 34%. So now I'm not in violation of what appears to be this excessive exceeding of what I'm allowed to, invest out, because it has to be in different companies. Because if your insurance company that you invested in goes belly up and this goes belly up, then chances are with the same owner, which is why
Hmm.
they limit the amount. And that, to my understanding, is what he's being investigated for. Because I believe in both of his insurance companies, they've far exceeded what they're permitted to loan to their own companies.
Now the new owners are Josh Kushner, not Jared. Josh Kushner, the brother of President Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Hopefully, we can keep politics out of this a little bit. Bob Iger is the co-purchaser. You remember him from Disney. He was twice their CEO. He's 75. He does have another sports team. He does controlling. He's controlling owner of the National Women's Soccer League team, Angel City. Whoop de doo. And apparently, Kushner has a little bit of ownership. In the Heat, his venture capital firm. He has to sell that away. Of course, they released your standard statement, lifelong. And by the way, they were involved, as Steve mentioned. These two clowns were part of the expansion process in Vegas, and everybody is terming this buying the Lakers a quote stunning turn, where they made an aggressive offer to buy the Lakers. They did say in their statement, Iger and Kushner, we have immense respect for the leadership and vision of Jerry and Jeannie Buss, end quote. There's another question. Does Jeannie Buss still have a role here? Does she have any say? Is she got to stay on? Is she a consultant? Does she get nothing? Is she Mark Cuban, has a minority thing that doesn't mean anything? Is the Buss family completely out? They still have some. They have what, 30% or something like that. So what's their role in this whole mess?
Yeah, because if you're selling it, I think he has to pull himself out. And I'd like to think that the others who oversee it will still be approving any trades, any large contracts, or anything like that. But because his ownership group is pulling out, does it go to, Jeannie bus, and then she's the one deciding, and then the new owners, or are they, and I don't think you can do it legally, is be consulting with the prospective new owners saying, hey, what do you think about this, and where are we going to go? You're coming on board, you haven't been approved. Because I don't think they are allowed to be involved in this until they are approved by the NBA.
Yeah. Although that's considered, at least right now, a technicality. It'll have to be approved by the NBA's Board of Governors. Although that process can take several weeks. Although, I mean, the Lakers are kind of done, right, with off season, and it's good time, I guess,
Mhm.
to be a little bit in flux. The reporting is that Iger and Kushner will take on the majority ownership. So whatever that percentage is that Buss has, well, they still have it. But the majority owner, what are they going to do? Because you're right, it's not like they have to listen to anybody in the Buss family. They might be smart to, but they don't have to. That's why it's called a minority stake. They ultimately can say, we're not doing it. We don't need your vote. We don't need your input.
And is this where the halt? Because we talked about the Kaminga coming over to the Lakers, and it's like, ooh, maybe this is the part. Remember, they were hot on a bunch of players. The LeBron, LeBron walked away, and let's see what we can do. And all of a sudden, it was like the Lakers went silent. We haven't heard any rumors more with Kaminga or any of the other players they're looking at. And is this a part of it? And yes, it's somewhat convenient, but they still got to fill out that roster. And what are they going to do? And how are they going to do it now that your majority partner is selling the team?
Yeah, I don't know how that works legally or technically. That's right. It'd be who writes the check, who
Mhm.
signs the check, and if you're Walter and the TWG group, you're like, I'm not signing that. Or you're going to need something in writing that says, here's why you're right. It does get convoluted in that it takes weeks to figure this out, and there are all of these questions. Now, let's go back to where you said you're more concerned or on a larger level concerned about the Dodgers because of their workaround, totally legal
Mhm.
by NBA rules. I'm sorry, MLB rules of figuring out the what's the term that push it down the road thing, deferment idea. Um, we haven't heard anything about a Major League Baseball investigation, right?
Well, no, they're investigating him as a whole,
Right, the
and his
SEC and such.
companies,
Right.
and that's where the Major League Baseball, the NBA, and what the Lakers have done to me is pretty clear cut. I mean, obviously, you like to believe they're not the Lakers and they're paying through shell companies and all this other stuff, but there's no deferred payments sitting out there. All the contracts are accounted for, everything to do with the roster, etc. We're baseball. Yes, we know what it is, but it's different because of those deferred payments. Is as a new owner, and where I'm going with this is, if you remember, we talked about the Shohei Otani contract, etc., and we've talked about the deferred. I asked the question of, well, what do they do if they go bankrupt? I mean, and they're not going to. They're worth a lot. But what happens if the Dodgers were to go bankrupt? How and are they going to get a new owner? And how's that going to work with $1 billion or whatever it is in deferred payments? Sitting on the books, they're already bankrupt. They can't make their payments. And how does that new owner take it over? And that's kind of where I'm viewing this is he's not going bankrupt, but it's still a more complicated sale than if they didn't have any deferred payments, and you know exactly where your guaranteed contracts were lined up and for how long, and you didn't go out 10, 20 years.
Well, and it's a valid point to be made on a variety of levels, including, I mean, even the bankruptcy thing. If you're old enough, you remember a company called Enron. They
Mhm.
were the sixth most valuable company on the planet, and they went belly up. Is it Walter alone? What role is TWG? Is that what whatever the hell their company is called? Um, do they extricate themselves legally from him? Can they? And yeah, it gets very messy and very dicey. And the question does exist of if if this becomes a ruinous affair, if this Walter guy is the next Bernie Madoff, again, if you're under 40, you
Mhm.
know the name. Well, that very well could destroy his
Mhm.
his holding company and everything TWG, everything that they've built, and they just liquidate. Where's Shohei's checks coming from?
Yep.
That is a fair question.
Mhm.
I mean, Shohei would fight him in bankruptcy court, blah 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 blah. Very boring stuff. But not only a valid question, but also we're still wondering how is MLB going to deal with deferred payments with the CBA coming up? That's going to cancel most of baseball next year. We think.
And with that bankruptcy, and I know you can declare bankruptcy and you restructure your company and all those different things, or we sell it off. But I just think with a sports franchise, it's probably maybe a little bit more complicated. Or do they just let the the bankruptcy play out? Okay, let's play it out to this point,
Oh.
and then we figure. I just think being a sports team, because we haven't seen it to this level. We saw the Montreal Expos, their owner pulled the major league and wanted to get out, so sabotaged the whole franchise. And Major League Baseball ended up having to purchase the team from him. And then he took his money and purchased the Florida Marlins at that time. And then the Florida Marlins ownership went and bought the Red Sox with that. But this would be a bankruptcy that would baseball buy the Dodgers out and then go seek a new owner? That just
Oh.
seems like an awful big commitment by Major League Baseball, with especially with the prices of the franchise now. I mean, I would think the Expos at the time were 3, 4, 500 million. But you're talking the Dodgers. What are we talking? $10 billion? That's a whole different check you got to write. Not that I could write a $500 million check, but I'd rather write that than a $10 billion check.
Well, this is always the question when one of these things happen, bringing it back more to the less icky side of sports. The Los Angeles Lakers, an iconic sports franchise in America, in the second biggest media market, in the third biggest sport, just sold for $12.5 billion. Well, I would think now, as I always say, you're only worth what somebody will pay you. I don't care what Forbes says. Will somebody give Jerry Jones $30 billion for the Cowboys? Then that's what they're worth. The Dodgers, I would think, are worth a lot more than $12.5 billion. They're the Dodgers, and it's baseball. So if the Lakers just sold for $12.5 billion, this also comes back to the next most pressing one. You mentioned the NBA and their expansion teams, and we had originally heard Seattle $7.5 to $8 billion, Vegas 10, and I said from the beginning, Vegas $12 billion. Well, okay, much bigger media market, Lakers. $12.5 billion, but it's Vegas. It ain't Buffalo. No offense, Buffalo. It ain't Seattle. No offense, Seattle. It's Vegas. It might not be a quote major market, but it's a major city. It's one of the destinations of the world, and the valuation of that team to a buyer isn't about market size. It's about everything Vegas offers. And I'm going 15 billion now on the Vegas NBA team. And who knows where it goes from there. Because if Iger and non-Jared Kushner were involved and they knew that, I wonder if that's what did it. Did they realize the Vegas team's going to cost $12 billion or more and went, why don't we just buy the Lakers now for that? Because I wonder, not because I want to be proven right or anything. That would be an interesting twist to the story, since everybody says this came out of nowhere.
I'm with you. I think they realized they were at 12 billion or so for the Vegas franchise. Unestablished, still got to find an arena. They got to build it. All of those things that come with that expansion team. And I think they were there because they wanted, we want a marquee NBA franchise. We don't want to be in Milwaukee or something like that. And they were in. But then suddenly with this, and that's where it gets into that other world of, did the Lakers put out feelers, of Walter put out, look, I might be selling, or did they reach out and said, hey, look, I know you're in a little bit of trouble here. Can we help you out? And I think that's where it shifted, because if I can buy the Lakers for the same amount of money as I could buy, say, an expansion team in Las Vegas, I'm buying the Lakers. I'm buying all the championships, the rings, you're one of the top, if not the top franchise in the NBA. You're number 2. The only other team you could put with them, I think, is the Celtics.
And some would argue the Knicks because of media, because it's New York. I'm not saying I would. I think the Lakers are probably the most in the NBA, but we're splitting hundreds of millions of dollars here. But as we play this out, I was envisioning it the other way. The second way is that Kushner and Iger, because like you said, you want to talk about other world stuff. These multi-billionaires, there's only a few of them. What, a couple hundred left, or a couple hundred now in the world. They all know each other. Who else are they going to talk to? They have nothing in common with you and me. They know, they hear Walter's under investigation. They don't know the legitimacy of it. Do they sit around? Yes, we'll put them in leather chairs with their bourbon and their cigar. And do they go, well, if you were Walter, what would you need to walk away? Well, I mean, God, about 25% profit, right? Well, that's what we're thinking of paying for the Vegas. I mean, when you talk it through, it is not only not far-fetched, it seems completely reasonable and almost likely with everything going on that Kushner and Iger are very successful businessmen, and Kushner's young. He's only 41, so he'll be taking up this mantle for decades if he stays in it. Said, here's a rich guy who needs our help, and we get what we want. Actually, we get way more than what we want because of what that Steve guy just said. We don't have to do any of that, and we get all of the panache of the Lakers moving forward.
And everything you said, the part I would love to add to it, it would be awesome. We'll never know, and I'm sure it never happened. Is they were sitting around playing poker, and this was during a poker game, and they're drinking, as you said, smoking your cigars, and this conversation comes up, and it said, "Hey, what do you think? We'll tell you what, if you win this pot, I'll sell you it for $12 billion. If not, oh, wouldn't that be awesome?" Because guys love to play poker, right? And that's where it was decided.
If either one of us was talented, here's a $1 billion idea. If you have any talent, redo the dogs playing poker painting and substitute two of the dogs for Iger and Kushner, and it's the painting of how the Lakers were bought or something like that. I love that. And of course, all the dogs need to have snifters as well of brandy.
Right.
In their paws and cigars dangling out. Since we're with basketball, we'll finish it up. We told you yesterday that tomorrow, today's Wednesday, right? Yeah. So tomorrow at noon. Oh, lucky us, right in the middle of our show. That's fantastic. The NBA will release their entire 26-27 schedule. We gave you the little feelers yesterday. They're not quite as obnoxious as the NFL. They told us that the Knicks will raise their championship banner on the league's opening night, Tuesday, October 20th. Against the 76ers, who LeBron chose in what he called his final free agency decision. Fine. Knicks, Sixers. That's part of a triple header that day. Which I don't even have it. With what so we have the Knicks and the Sixers. We had the late game that you were annoyed at. The Warriors and was it the Lakers? Is the late game?
Yes,
no.
yes, it is. Yeah, because we talked about the Lakers playing the Sixers on Christmas Day. So yes, it is
Right.
the Lakers Warriors going. Why is this the marquee game?
And the Celtics are Pistons and the Spurs. Anyway, they gave us these little drips and drabs. We get the full schedule tomorrow. Now, today, ooh, very exciting. The league today announced the full NBA Cup schedule, as well as the 15 nationally televised games. Now, this is the difference between the NBA and the NFL. When the NFL teases us with scheduled things, it gives us something we care about, something we might want to talk about. Oh, we know who's playing on Thanksgiving. Relatable. Everybody can talk about, all right, when we're eating dinner, blah, blah, blah. The cup thing, Jesus. The games we played every Friday, beginning October 30th to November 27th, additional games, blah blah blah. It ends on December 11th. What? I don't care, Steve. This was a terrible announcement. We're gonna have another Knicks 76ers game, another Lakers Golden State game on day one on October 30th, and the Knicks will play the Pacers and the Heat as well. We know that.
As you started that segment, the first thing I thought of was this is a big reveal of preseason football. Nobody cares. And I know these games count, preseason don't, but that's where my interest was at. I'm like, the cup means zero. You don't get anything. Players get money. Okay, great. You don't get an automatic bid into the playoffs. You don't have anything. It's like we're trying to turn basketball into soccer for this little mid-season little tournament. I have zero interest. I've had zero interest in it. So I equate it to preseason football schedule release.
They've done nothing to improve it for fans. It's so stupid. And, wait, I had it here. The Lakers won the first one. That went nowhere. And then the Bucks won. That was after they had won their champion. It's meaningless. All right.
Who won last year? Did the Bucks win it last year?
No, that was 24.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's funny. We don't even know.
Don't even have a clue who won it last year. I was hoping you were going to say the Bucks, because then I'm like, yeah, that really helped them through the course of the season, didn't it?
Right.
I mean, they got them the number 3 seed in the East.
It was Cleveland? No. Did Cleveland?
you could throw any of the teams out there. I mean, you could say the Indiana Pacers, and I'm like, oh, okay. Again, didn't help them.
No, I'll look during the break. I'm so uninterested. Okay, one other basketball note, and then we'll be done with basketball, unless something else silly happens. The Golden State Warriors general manager Mike Dunleavy this morning expressed confidence that franchise icon Steph Curry is committed to remaining with the Warriors his entire career. Steph's on an expiring contract this upcoming season. He becomes eligible on August 29th. Quick math, 17 days from now, for an extension of up to 2 years and $136 million, which would replace his $62.5 million contract he's currently under. Team and league sources express optimism Curry and the Warriors will figure out a way to stay together. Curry said he wants to play at least a couple more seasons and wants to play the entirety of his career with the Warriors. Dunleavy said it's been a quiet offseason for the Warriors. He acknowledged that, said, hey, we've tried for LeBron. And then Dunleavy says, we opted to regather our core, meaning they re-signed Draymond, Porzingis, Al Holford, DeAnthony Melton, Gary Payton II to short-term contracts, acknowledged Jimmy Butler and Moses Moody and their knee injuries are expected to miss a, quote, large chunk of next season. And said, quote, we had to make decisions between talent and availability. We are taking risk. We know that. Porzingis, 32 games last season. Holford missed 37. Curry missed 39. And Dunleavy said the team plans to challenge its veterans to play more often this season. What? But acknowledge the risks, particularly with Curry in the latter. Now that we've ridden you bloody, you prize horse, we're just going to put a shotgun to your head. Play more. That's an odd statement.
Right. You're now an aging veteran. You're breaking down. You're having these nagging injuries, but we are going to ignore that. And we want you to play more games that you have. Is that kind of a call out? Like, you know what?
Right.
You've been nursing these injuries. We think you could have been playing and you've been choosing not to. We're not going to let you do that. And a point on Steph Curry, because one, I love players that play their whole careers in any sport on the same team. I really do. But could you blame him for leaving? I mean, it's been 3 wasted years now. If he wants to play a couple more years, it means 5 years wasting away. Warriors never be competing. Would you prefer that and have more respect for Curry if he rides out the last 5-6 years with no shot of even competing? Or would you be okay with him leaving and trying to go to a team in an effort to win late in his career because he still has that competitive part, because he wants to win, to try to go join a team so he can win? I'm like, which doesn't hurt Steph Curry if he leaves the Warrior for his legacy?
See, I get torn on this. And the person that I right away go to is Mike Trout. Okay, it's neat. He wants to play for whatever reason with the Angels. I think he's an amazing player when he's healthy, and I respect him as a player, but I always go, why are you doing why? Now, and he's never won.
No.
Steph's won. I don't think I would lose respect for him if he said, I'm riding it out with the Warriors. I did my thing. It's up to them to surround, whether he says this out loud, surround me, and we might win again, but I want to stay here. I don't think I would respect him any less. I know I would respect the hell out of him, though, if he pursued it and then did it. I mean, if he went to pick your team here that he can fit into, I don't know, OKC, whatever, and won, I'm like, okay, that's good. Who can fault a guy for chasing the reason we're supposed to play, minus the hundreds of billions of dollars, winning, and doing so at a time, as you said, when the team you're on has done nothing to really help you do that for almost half a decade?
Let me give you another example there. Not Mike Trout. Go Cal Ripken Jr., who won a World Series with the Orioles, is the big figure of the Orioles.
Yeah.
And Steph is that. Mike Trout, yeah, he probably is for the Angels. But again, the Angels, who cares? I mean, who are you really going to go there for their? So, Cal Ripken, would we have viewed him differently and lost a little respect for him if he had finished up his last couple of years in the bigs on a different team and not the Orioles.
He was so beloved, though, especially after that games played streak. Would anybody other than Baltimore fans get mad if he went to the Dodgers or the Yankees in division? I mean, would really?
I think Steph falls in that same thing. He is so beloved with the Warriors, the fans, respected through the entire sport on every level. And when I put it to Cal Ripken, I'm not sure I want Steph Curry to go play for another team. I might want him to just stick it out. I don't blame him. I would never get upset with him for going somewhere and say, look, I got a couple years left. I want to play on a competitive team because I still have that desire to win a championship, and I know it's never happening here.
No, I would look as a fan. I'd prefer he stayed at Golden State, and as I said, I won't lose any respect. I don't know that I'd gain respect, but I would understand if he went and pursued another title with somebody else. Now, but what about his quote? He's 38, and LeBron's 41-ish, right? Or going to be 42 at some time this year. I don't know. And Steph Curry says he wants to play a couple more seasons. Doable? Realistic? I mean, he missed 39 last year.
I think it is. I think the days of playing, 80 games in a season, 78 games in a season are long gone for pretty much every player in the NBA, not just Steph Curry. But he's gotten injured in what, 2 or 3 of the last 4 or 5 seasons. We've seen he hasn't been able to play. And I'm curious what their GM's going to say when Steph goes down. You better get back on that court. We're not allowing you to have that hamstring injury. I don't care. You only got to walk 10 feet past the midcourt and put up a shot, and we're not even going to ask you to play defense, but you better be out there.
Rob and Steve continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP, M-A-P, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com. If you've never heard of microseal, let me tell you what it isn't. It is not a really small marine mammal. Get it? A microseal? Oh, fine. Just ask AI. AI describes microseal this way with a bunch of AI words. Microseal is a premium, eco-friendly, and biodegradable fabric protection spray that penetrates deep into fibers to provide permanent stain, soil, and sun fade resistance for rugs, furniture, and delicate fabrics. It uses nanotechno blah 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 and blue 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 blue. What AI is trying to say is that microseal is non-toxic, non-allergenic, safe for pets and children, and, although AI doesn't say this, it should, you need to contact longtime maggot Joel from AdvantageSteam.com right now to get get him to apply MicroSeal for you. You can even make appointments online at AdvantageSteam.com. We've had MicroSeal for years at Williams Manor, and it treats a lot more than carpets. MicroSeal protects virtually all fibrous materials, including wool, cotton, silk, suede, leather, and synthetic fabrics. It protects upholstery, carpets, rugs, draperies, and clothing, including wedding dresses. And ladies, you're going to need what? 3 or 4 of those in your lifetime. And it protects against stains, moisture, and UV degradation without changing the texture. Also, if you're an interior designer, Joel has a special program just for you, and all you have to do is say the password, which is what? What? There's no password, I guess. Never mind. Whoever you are, contact Joel at AdvantageSteam.com. And if you're an interior designer, tell him, I guess. I don't know. That's AdvantageSteam.com, where you'll learn more about MicroSeal and everything else that Joel offers at AdvantageSteam.com. That's AdvantageSteam.com. AdvantageSteam.com.
This is the Rob and Steve Sports Show. Call the show at 888-587-5355 or email the show at ras@theradnetwork.com.
Got a few day baseball games going on. The Orioles are beating the Twins 4-1 midway through the third. Phillies Cardinals just started, no score. Before our show ends in 90 minutes, we'll get the Rays and Athletics out there, the Rockies, the D-backs, the Astros, the Giants, and then right after 1 Pacific time, Brewers, Padres. We're going to get to almost all those matchups from yesterday as we go through everything in Major League Baseball in the final, 5-6 weeks. We're going to start with a follow-up to yesterday because I kind of sort of alluded to it without having it in front of me. Wanted to confirm, barring any rainouts, the World Series will end in October this year for only the second time in the last 7 seasons. It'll start on October 23rd. Game 7 will be on Halloween. That's just funny as an adult because I don't like Halloween. Not that I ever open the door or have the lights on or anything. And not that it's going to go to 7 games, but maybe it will. Also, I had some self-assigned in-show homework yesterday. You went on a rant yesterday, Steve, this time not about the Browns, but rather about the Angels and just how bad they were. And you did one of those things you do where you throw out this number. And I think they've got like 500 walks this season that they've given up. And I'm like, that's a lot. And then after the show, I thought, is that a lot? 162? God, they're walking like more than 2. That can't be. He's got to be making that. You were exaggerating for effect, was my brain. Were you?
508.
Why do you know these things? I was convinced you were making it up. There's no way a team. Yes, as of before yesterday, Angels lead the majors with 502 walks allowed. Oh. You didn't know? Yeah, yes. So you didn't know. Oh.
No, I took a stab and said,
oh my God.
508 was my guess that I was going to say in my head during that show. If you asked me exactly how many, I went to the 500, but I had, and 508 was the number in my head. No idea.
Yesterday, the real number when you said it was 502. You're annoying.
My wife will tell you, I retain useless information, and I do not retain anything of use ever, especially when it comes to her and conversations we have.
Why do I get this vision of your wife standing at the airport going, where is he? Steve, did you remember? So it's the Angels, the only team to give up over 500 walks so far this year. The Astros are right behind them, then the Reds, then the A's. Wow, there's a shock. Other than the Astros, 3 of the 4 teams are like 3 of the 4 worst teams in all of baseball. Okay.
And that's where I keep getting into starting pitching is so key, because if you don't have starters, your bullpen gets overloaded. Thus the A's, the Astros, the Angels, as you said, these terrible teams, they're all connected.
So let's stay with starting pitching. Follow up on yesterday, and really not even yesterday, the last 4, 5, 6 weeks, month for sure, as his starts have been inconsistent and wobbly. You have been concerned. What is with Paul Skeens? Are we headed towards the old bone bodies or elbow body parts or whatever they're calling, something else going on? And we knew he was pitching yesterday. We both also yesterday intellectually said the Pirates they're not going to make it. We want them to. Maybe they'll get on a hot streak, but they're not going to make it. Pittsburgh Pirates ace Paul Skeens had another dip in his velocity yesterday and was lifted after 65 pitches, although Pirates manager Don Kelly insists his early exit was not injury related, saying that you lifted Paul Skeens before the start of the 6th inning because, quote, I thought it would give us the best chance to win, end quote. Well, that's a bad sign if you think lifting the young as he is, perennial Cy Young winner in your league gives you the best chance to win. Skeens did not plead to stay in the game. He actually said afterwards, quote, if I were the manager, I'd probably do it too, quote, which he didn't expand on, but kind of says, yeah, I know I suck. Skeens allowed 2 runs, 1 earned, 5 hits, 1 walk, only 4 strikeouts, tied for his second lowest total this season in a start that even went 5 innings. He fell to 3-4 in his last 9 starts, has a 5.79 ERA over those 9. And when we stretch it out to 10 and 13 yesterday, it gets worse, really. His prolonged struggles are marked by this dip in velocity. Average velocity in 24 was 98.8. Last year, 98.1. His average fastball this season is 96.8. Neither Skeens nor Kelly directly addressed the issue in velocity, but Skeens mentioned some, quote, changes in his routine and acknowledged that pitch volume is a possible reason for his struggles. And the Pirates were on their way to losing anyways to the Marlins. The real pitcher yesterday was Yuri Perez, who allowed 3 hits over 7 innings. So I think we can shelve Pittsburgh for the most part. And yesterday I was like, should we shut down Skeens? Well, you can't if you're going to make a run. Do we figure out? Do you feel like this is what we've heard so many times, including from the Yankees with Aaron Judge? They're hiding something?
I think they're hiding something, and we've been talking about this. If you look at the start yesterday, the analytics of it, 5 innings, 6 base runners, only 1 earned run, looks like a quality start. But it isn't there. His pitches are not there, as you say. He's down 2 to 3 miles an hour on his fastball. He has 0 location. He doesn't know where that ball is going when it comes out of his hand either. And as he said, if I was the manager, I'd have taken myself out too. Well, that's not based on the numbers. That's based on the eye test. He doesn't have it. And I'll throw a name at you. Think Garrett Crochet. Same thing. Lost his velocity. All of a sudden it said, oh, he might be out, for a start or 2. Next thing you know, what? He's been out for like 4 months. I think they got to take a look at it. He's your future. You can't just burn him out and have possibly worse things happen. But you don't lose that kind of velocity unless you're hurt in some way or it then affects your mechanics. So you're not getting the push off the extension, whatever you have. There's something wrong with him. You're never going to tell me that, oh, he's got a tired arm. It's been like 13 starts now. That tired arm, if he has that tired arm, sorry to the Golden State Warriors GM, but if he has this kind of a tired arm, why are you still throwing him out there game after game other than we got to get the workload in? I know they're aging, and I know we got to put them out there in the court. Oh, I'm sorry, on the mound, and we're going to make them play through it. It's not right. And Skeens may not have ever been honest with them. I think somewhere, if not now, during the offseason, something somewhere before the start of the next season is going to come out. Say, yeah, I was trying to pitch through this, and I need to be better.
Well, yesterday also, it made sense if we hypothetically said, why not either shut Skeens down or give him it made sense to go, well, look, the Pirates they still think they're in it, and they were 4.5 back or something, even though not on a good streak. Now there's no answer. I don't understand why at this point. Okay, you bring up, is Skeens hiding something? Well, you're still the team. Why not send him to somebody, get it looked at, and then probably get told, sit him down for a while, then maybe some thought. There's nothing left. There's no reason not to with the future this guy has. I would actually be happy if today we got the news he's on the IL.
So would I, and I use Garrett Crochet as the example. He lost the velocity off of his pitches too. We watched this. Really, they didn't feel anything was wrong, and like I said, he's been out 4 months now. So just, hey, look, go look at whatever is wrong with Garrett Crochet. Run that same test on Paul Skeens and see if he's got the same thing.
Speaking of the Pirates, just really pretty much at this point being out of it. The National League wild card is insane. The Cubs are in. Phillies, Diamondbacks, Padres all tied. And then you got to go through, if you're the Pirates, the Marlins, the Cardinals, the Nationals, and the Reds. The Pirates have to go through the Nationals and the Reds. They're done. All right, more in-show homework that I came up with. I mentioned yesterday it was the 10-year or whatever anniversary of this amazing catch in Japan, and a lot of people say it's the best catch in Major League Baseball history. And I was going through seeing if I could put together a little video montage for us. And as I realized that Jim Edmonds, who you've mentioned many times, Steve, he had 3, like at every source that you used, he had 3 of the 10 greatest catches in Major League Baseball history, according to everybody they asked. So if you go through it, and it was an easy project, you go through and just do like a montage of Jim Edmonds' greatest catches, and you come up with the 5 or the 3, or in some cases the 8. It's nuts. They're the same guy. And he actually had 2 very similar to what you described, where he's running with his back to home plate and catches the ball over his shoulder. And one of them, and I don't think this is the one you were talking, was in Houston with that weird hill.
Oh, yes. And the flagpole is in the field of play.
It's nuts to see this guy and make all of these catches and all of these dives and all of these running away from the home plate, and that he doesn't get credit from people like you and I who saw him play. That's what's missing. Those of us who saw him were like, Jesus, it's amazing.
Did Andrew Jones have more spectacular catches in Major League Baseball history than Jimmy Edmonds? I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame. Edmonds isn't, and Edmonds hit 286, and Andrew Jones hit like 254. I would think Andrew Jones got to have at least 4.
Yeah, you would think.
No.
In using all of the various voting metrics that I used, I didn't see any catches by Andrew Jones.
No, you won't.
No? Okay. How about the A's? Well, the A's, let's not talk about them. They lost to the Tampa Bay Rays. But what about Athletics' Jacob Wilson, who had his Major League Baseball record 112-game errorless streak come to an end in the 8th on a throwing error? In the moment, okay, Wilson threw wide of Donovan Walton. He was so Wilson is going up the middle to get a ground ball, and he takes it out of his glove hand, his throwing hand, his right hand, he flips it, but the centrifugal force, his motion, makes the ball fade towards first base. There's no way Walton can even reach it, and dude's safe at second. And there's this hush, not only over Sutter Field in Sacramento, but you can hear the A's announcers are waiting. They're not even saying, is it going to be an error? Is it going to be an error? They're just waiting and waiting until Dallas Braden says, and folks, that ends the errorless streak. Now, I'm watching it, and I'm going, well, all right, batter's on because of fielder's choice. That's why he's on. But you can do fielder's choice in an error. Boy, that throw. I as an A's fan, I had no problem with the call. And it's at home. So who's going to argue with it? Well, maybe themselves, because an inning later, it was overruled. And at the time, it was changed to Yandy Diaz reached on a fielder's choice only. Wilson's streak has officially lived on for another day. So he is now at 113 straight games without an error at shortstop. I get the impression somebody felt like this wasn't the way the streak should end. It's not. I mean, it's Jacob Wilson. It's not Derek Jeter. It's not A-Rod. It's not the biggest story in baseball. It's a cool story, but it feels like, did they just go that's or is it legitimately not an error, or was it what everybody thinks it is? Let him have it. Now, come on, it's a good story. Which one of the three? Or if I'm missing one?
I think it should be called an error.
Okay.
And extending it because of a streak, it isn't right. If you and I look, I know up the middle, I know you got the shot. It's a tough play, My question and the gauge I'd use: would you, if this was not Jacob Wilson, it was just a normal game, would you call it an error? And if you say yes, then I think you have to. The streak doesn't mean anything to me. And if you didn't, the question I'd go to Jacob Wilson is, knowing the streak, if you didn't have the streak, would you have held on to the ball because you didn't want to break it and get an error, or would you still have done the play? And I am 100% positive he'd said, look, I'd still do it. The streak's nice, but it's not that important. And I just don't think, I mean, you could sell me that it really wasn't an error, but if you're going to call that an error for anyone else in all of baseball, you have to call it an error for him. You cannot use a streak as a reason to not see it. But that's one of my bitches with official scorekeepers, because you see it all the time, and it said, "Oh, there's a blatant error in the fourth inning. Pitcher now has a no hitter into the seventh inning," and now they're talking, well, maybe we should take away, whatever it is, or it was a hit, and let's turn it into an error or something like. I think official scorekeepers have a little too much leeway on what it really should be. They do a great job. I'm not saying that, but when you hit these different plays like this, I think it needs to be a hard rule. Would you call that an error on anybody else, regardless? Yes, then it's an error.
So I have a different answer, and it's almost more egregious based on if you watch the replay enough. Because what the official score, what he's determining there is, why is the guy that was in the batter's box on first? That's the play we're talking about. How did that guy get to first? Well, he didn't hit a single. He hit it to the fielder, Jacob Wilson, who chose, fielder's choice, to go to second with an errant throw. Now, I'm not comparing it to what everybody else who had a streak or whatever. What I'm looking at is, there's no way the second baseman's catching that ball on that flip because of the way he made the throw. That in and of itself isn't why the batter is on first. The batter's on first, A, because that's the choice Wilson made, and then he made the error. The real error he made was making the choice. Throw to first.
Okay. And now, I get where you're going with. Does the batter beat it out? If no one was on base and he throws it to first, is the batter out or is the batter safe? And if you tell me the batter is safe, then it's not a fielder's choice. You're ripping the batter off because he would have beat it out anyway.
Right. And if this is why I said after the replay, which makes it more egregious. If you look at where the runner is, when Wilson, remember, his force is taking him towards first. It is so plausible that it would have been a bang-bang play at first. That's the play. And you're right. It would have been an infield single, not an error, if that's where Wilson goes. Or an out, if that's where Wilson goes. So I think it answers your question, too. What would Wilson have done without the streak? He would have made the same bad choice because he thought it was the right choice. Because I think there's other runners on. Because of the A's, I'm like, who cares? You're going to lose 48-7 by the time this is over. Sure enough, the eighth inning, boom, 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 runs. That's where it is an error. It's just a goofy way that it was, but it's not an error. Just so you know, 113 in a row as of right now.
And Rob, great point. I hadn't even gone there. I agree with you. I think you break it down. If the batter would have beat it out to first base, then he gets a single, and I don't give him the error because it was like, look, if I couldn't throw him out at first, this was my only opportunity, difficult throw, and I don't go a single and then an error for the guy getting the second. I can't go there. So I think your point is excellent. I agree with it, and determine what the batter would have been, out or safe, and that determines if it was an error or not.
And the theory in Wilson's mind, the reason he's flipping it to second is he thinks he's got a shot at a double play. So in his mind, he's got time to throw it to Dalton, who's going to throw it to first. That's his thinking. So that was the mistake. That's not a plausible error. That stupid toss was, and either way, it's not an error. All right.
And that's the scorekeeper's error as well, is they're looking at it as he's trying to get a double play. And if they back that out, then that's what the call should have been. So I'm with you.
Elsewhere in A's land, Paul Skeens, not an A, but he's struggling. Is he hurt? Should we sit him down? Pirates are out of it. Athletics first baseman Nick Kurtz may be out the rest of the season. He has to wear a brace on his thumb for 4 weeks. Manager Mark Kotze yesterday said Kurtz could make a return before the end of September, but it's difficult to envision. Then just put him on the 60. Come on, right?
Yes.
What?
Let him
There's
go.
no reason. Okay. Yeah, sit him. By the way, the A's lost yesterday. Big surprise. Tampa Bay Rays. They are in first place by 6 games now over the Yankees. The Red Sox by 9. The Rays have won 9 of their last 10. They've won 8 in a row. They've got the right team to just run away with things if they want to, and they're starting to reach that level. I mean, if everybody's sitting here saying the Brewers have got the Central in hand with only a 4-game lead over the Cubs, which we'll revisit, then gee whiz, where are the Rays with a 6-game lead over the Yankees? And they've got the A's again in about 10 minutes. Tampa Bay will throw Drew Rasmussen at Jack Perkins.
Yeah, and Rasmussen, he hasn't given up a run in his last 20 innings. He's 11-5. He's the guy I said last year, if people knew who he was, he would be in that elite status. He's been consistent, incredible this season. 3-0 in his last 3 outings, ERA of 0 because that's the 20 innings he's thrown, whip of 0.55. Rays have won 8 in a row, and this is their separation time. I mean, I'm watching them just beat up the A's pitch and going, where was the Red Sox? Why couldn't the Red Sox do that as well? I mean, you got Diaz and Caminero both homering last night. I think they homered the night before as well. Rays are rolling right now. I love the pickup of Liam Hicks as a catcher. They needed some help there. He also can DH. And that starting rotation, Nick Martinez and Rasmussen and I know McClanahan's out right now. I do believe they're going to get Freddie Peralta turned around, and he's going to become that pitcher he was, the year before, last couple of years with the Brewers. And they're going to be a tough out.
We'll stay with both the East and the West because a couple of them are playing each other. After his club's 4-1 loss to the Yankees yesterday, Seattle Mariners catcher Cal Raleigh, a year removed from finishing second in the MVP race, said simply, quote, "I'm awful," end quote. Went on to say about Seattle's 5th straight loss, "We are playing very, very, very bad baseball in every facet of the game." The offense was indeed left high and dry last night by Ryan Weathers, who had a 1-hit shutout into the 6th for New York. For Seattle, it's also their 14th loss in the past 19 games. They are now 4.5 back of the Astros. Mariners, as I said, lost 5 in a row, 7 of their last 10. They feel like, I know all season, for you mainly it was Astros, Mariners, not in that order, where you were kind of like one of these teams. It seems like the Mariners, remember they had that brief thing? The A's got to 500, and then they played the Mariners, and that went away. That was it. That was the peak of the A's season. And the Mariners were in first, and that was it. Like, that's been Seattle's high moment as well. They're teetering on being out of it, but they're still in the West.
Yeah, luckily no one else can run off any consistent winning streak of like 8 games like the Rays has. And Cal Raleigh, you're right. You're hitting a $159. This guy went 60 homers last year. 159. That's embarrassing. Wu went last night. Actually had a good game on the road. As we talked about yesterday, he's been terrible on the road. And look, the statistics are still there. You still lost as the Yankees won 4-1. Ryan Weathers, another good outing. He had that 2 months, June, July, that he wasn't very good. Really good outing, 5 2/3, only 1 earned run. And Will Warren, another guy, is really keeping this Yankee staff in that back half of that rotation until Rodon can get back as well. But Yankees still don't hit. I mean, they scored 4 in the bottom of the 7th, getting shut out from that point, forward. Yankees got to find some offense if they're going to try to make any kind of run with the Rays. Because right now, the Rays rotation is better than the Yankees.
This is a totally unfair question on August 12th, but so I'll phrase it this way. For all intents and purposes, not officially, have you buried the Mariners? Because I have in my head.
I have not officially, in my head, when I went on their rant like a week ago on how I just have to accept they suck. Well, That's when I said, in my mind, I buried them because I'm tired of constantly looking at their roster, looking at their talent, looking at that rotation. Say, look, this team should be there. They really should. But we're 100+ games into it. You need to move on. What are we, 120 games into it, and they still suck?
As you mentioned, Will Warren's going tonight for the Yankees. Seattle's there again as the Yankees stay 6 back of the race, 3 ahead of the Boston Red Sox, who got 3-time All-Star catcher Adley Rutschman back yesterday, as we said they would. He went 1 for 3, walked twice in his debut, but Boston lost its 4th straight, 5-3 to the Blue Jays. Rutschman was activated off the 10-day IL. Of course, they got him on the trade deadline from Baltimore. They hit him third. He struck out swinging in the first, got an infield single in the third, walked in the 5th and the 7th, grounded out to end the game, stranding a runner at second. That was his big moment. It was a big chance. Grounded out. They got rid of Jake Rogers. They sent him down. He's one of the guys they got from the Orioles. Now, you were hoping for a good Rutschman debut with the Red Sox. It wasn't awful, but they still lost their 4th in a row, which puts the Sox, and you and your – they go on these streaks, teams in general, Cubs are the prime example. The Sox aren't like horrible, but they have lost 4 in a row. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They'll do it again today. Ron Hair Suarez against Jose Sariano. What a great matchup, which comes up at 4 o'clock our time this afternoon.
It is a good matchup for 2 pitchers that need to step up for their team. Toronto went out and traded for Soriano. He's a ground ball pitcher. Great beginning of the season. He's sitting at 9-6 right now. ERA for the season is at 3.2. His whips 1.25, and he's been better as of late. 1-0 his last 3. ERA just under 1.7. His whip is sitting right around 1, and they want to continue just beating up the Red Sox. And I've said this all along, that Blue Jays are one of those teams. Doesn't matter how good or bad they are. They've always played the Red Sox stuff. Boston's got to figure it out. They've lost 4 straight now. You don't want to go too deep into this losing streak and give all of that momentum that you had back. Ronnier Suarez going 4-3 in the year. In his last 3 outings, his ERA is almost 5. His whip is 1.30. They need to step up. They cannot afford to continue this losing streak as their wild card lead continues to drop down. They need to do something. I mean, the Tigers and Twins and Guardians are, even the Orioles are still within, striking distance if the Red Sox roll this from a 4-game losing streak up to a 10-game losing streak or something crazy like that.
Yeah, I mean, for now, the Yankees are in, and the Red Sox right now are in firmly. But you're right; it only takes a streak in the other direction. What a terrible story! We've been talking about great stories. The Red Sox are one of them. Wouldn't it be if the Tigers got to the postseason? Think like, what a terrible story if the Red Sox go 30-5 over 35 games and then blow it. Come on. And that ain't happening. Not with that bullpen. It ain't happening. I'm telling you, it's not happening.
I'm hoping you're right because they do have some players that are going to be coming back. Roman Anthony's starting to fire it up. Hoping that they're going to get Crochet back in September. So there is some hope in the horizon. But yeah, go 30-5 and don't make the playoffs. Oh my gosh. I don't think, nobody's gone 30-5. So anybody who came close to that had to have made the playoffs.
And they all did. Remember, we did the list yesterday, right? The Red Sox were the 7th or 8th to do it. Everybody got to the postseason. 3 of them won the World Series. Okay, so the Mariners, intellectually, they suck.
They do.
You still got the Astros with a half-game lead over the Rangers, and the Rangers did that thing that we've been talking about you're not supposed to do if you're a real team at this time of the year, and that would be lose to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, who are, in fact, still officially now the worst team in baseball. Hey, Cody Bradford pitched 7 innings on 5-hit ball for Texas in his 2nd start since returning from elbow surgery. He's been out almost 2 years. End of good news. Oh, you know what did it? The Angels fired former Rangers pitching coach Mike Maddox and 2 of his assistants earlier in the day. So that's how the Angels pulled out their 3-2 win yesterday. The Rangers half game out of the Astros. This American League West is getting sillier and sillier. Tonight, Cal Quantrill goes against George Klassen in Anaheim.
Yeah, and give them a little bit of credit there because they only walked 4 in that game last night, so that's a little under their average. So they're already paying dividends with those changes to the bullpen and the pitching coaches. Cal Quantrill 1-3 on the season has not been good as of late. 1-2. His ERA in his last 3 is almost 5. His WHIP is 1.30. But this Angels team is so bad. I'm sorry. Clausen's going tonight. ERA almost 8 for the year. His WHIP is 2.88. Not a whole lot of good news here. Rangers, you need to find a way because you got to win this series. They won the game 1. They lost by 1 last night. But these are games you have to win 2 out of 3 in this series against the Angels. Or why am I even talking about you either for winning this division?
By the way, Steve is once again right by the hair of his chinny chin chin in that before the game yesterday, the Angels were averaging 4.16 walks per game. So by walking 4, that average went down a little bit. And the other team in the American League West is in first place, even after this guy that Steve Mickelson has been saying for months, just play him, is finally playing. And Bryce Eldridge homered. Fellow rookie Carson Whisenhunt, who we talked about yesterday, went 5 2/3 innings after working out of 2 early bases loaded jams. And the Giants did to the Astros what the Angels did to the Rangers. Said, you're not supposed to lose to us. Okay, you did. Astros went down 4-1. Whisenhunt, a run, 4 hits, 3 walks, 11 in a row, retired at one point. Left after a 2-out walk in the 6th. 55 of his 96 pitches in the first 2 innings were strikes. Giants doing what we said they should, what the A's are doing. Throw everybody out there, see who's got a chance, see who's going to be around next week, next year, next season. The Astros, meanwhile, trying to hold on to this half-game lead without second baseman Jose Altuve, who left the team's game on last night after getting hit on the left foot by an 82-mile-an-hour slider. He did go out, Altuve did, to the field, but left before going back out on defense. 240, 13 home runs, 35 RBI. No word on his. I mean, it's not. There's no indication of the long-term injury. That's where the Astros sit, though, today, as they go at it again with the Giants in about 40 minutes. Brian King and Adrian Hauser are starting.
Yeah, this is that bullpen game for the Astros. They got to throw somebody out there. King's, I guess, the next man up. They really needed a good outing from Hunter Brown. It was all right, but he's still trying to pitch himself back into that pitching shape. You know, Altuve, you talked about him getting hurt, and the Astros need him. He is such a big part of that offense, but he's not having a good season. And he is such a defensive liability at second base. They moved him to left field to start last season because he couldn't play second base anymore. And then they found out he was even worse out in the outfield than he was in the infield. There's a lot of holes with this Astros team. Jeremy Pena's having a really nice season. He's gotten really hot. And again, I keep asking, why does anybody pitch to Yordan Alvarez? He's the one guy in that line, best hitter in baseball, the only guy who could do some serious damage. But Giants, great. Look, yesterday, Eldridge played first base. That's what he needs to do. He hit a bomb. Great. As you said, Whisenhunt, bring him up. Yeah, he has struggled at times, got in trouble, but this is where we talk about learning at the major league level. He got out of 2 bases loaded jams, was able to figure out how to get that out, get out of the inning, had a nice outing. This is that confidence builder, 5 2/3, 1 earned run, only 4 hits. These are the things you need to see. Is he going to win a Cy Young this year? No, but this helps you for next year. And I'm glad to see the Giants are finally doing this.
And just to confirm, the Angels are, in fact, the worst team in baseball. 28 games under 500, one of 3 teams under a 400 winning percentage. The A's and Rockies are tied as the second worst teams in baseball at 392. Royals, 405. Giants are still in there in the bottom 5. 5th worst team, 20 games under 500.
Rob and Steve continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
first time Corey walked into my home, I came around the corner, extended my right hand to shake it, and said to him, "Wow, you're big." And that would be Corey from QuickDumpsters.com. Quick is spelled wrong intentionally. Quick, QUI, can charge and removed dozens of boxes of total junk, unusable dog kennels, desks that were falling apart, a worthless old smoker that couldn't be fixed, bag after bag of crap, and I can't remember what else. He was quick, spelled wrong, QUIK, quiet and clean. Well, he wasn't clean. I mean, he was. But I'm not commenting on his hygiene. I meant that his work was clean. He swept everything when he was done, and the house looked like he'd never even been there. Corey's the real deal, and I couldn't be more proud and happy to call him a brand new advertiser. His story is incredible, his dedication unmatched, and his motivation to succeed larger than he is, and that's saying something. Quotes are free. You don't even have to have them over to your house. Just send him some pics or videos, and you'll get your price, schedule your day and time, and watch someone else get that junk out of your house. Go to QuickDumpsters.com. Quick, QUIK, Dumpsters.com. Quick, QUIK, Dumpsters.com. Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP, M-A-P, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com.
Steve has been running sports books for decades, and Rob spent decades running radio so far into the ground he just created his own network. This is the Rob and Steve Sports Show on the Rad Network.
We will jump over to the NFL for now. We do have some more Major League Baseball, including Blake Snell and his debut with the Dodgers for the season. Well, it kind of sort of debut. His re-debut after May 9th yesterday. First, though, to the NFL and off the field, CBS sports president David Burson, who said this morning the future of NFL analyst Tony Romo at CBS is still in flux following his arrest last month on suspicion of operating a vehicle under the influence when Romo got 3 citations from the sheriff's office. He performed poorly on field sobriety tests and had an open container of alcohol in his black Jeep. That was the day when that came out, the day after the body cam came out, that CBS issued their terse statement that he's been placed on leave indefinitely or whatever it said. Tony Romo has a court appearance set for the 21st of September. Said CBS Sports President David Burson, "It's an evolving situation. We're still assessing. No timetable or final decision at this time. We have to consider the impact on our image and our brand. That's very important to us. The focus." J.J. Watt's going to be. You know what's really, 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 really missing from CBS from the beginning of this? And I'm not bitching. I'm not taking it personally. I'm not complaining. I'm just observing. No stated concern for Tony Romo at all. We've heard over the years that his stock has really fallen. They had to call him in, tell him to do better, concentrate more, study more, etc. He gets into this accident. Nothing is said. We're told it's their version of a DUI. It's an old WI. It's a different form of punishment. It's still you're driving while drunk. which is a bad look in America. Still didn't say anything. Oh, the body cam comes out. He's kind of a jerk. He seems like he's being playful. I'm going to grandma and grandpa's house. Then they say open alcohol container. Then CBS finally says something, and he's on leave indefinitely. Now the president comes out, never mentions Tony Romo. Says we care about our brand. We care. We know this is a bad look. Nothing about we hope Tony gets better. We hope Tony's working towards making sure this doesn't happen. None of that is there. And I'm not. All I'm sensing is from an analytical viewpoint. What we were talking about earlier this week, last week, whatever. CBS was looking for a way out, and they got it.
Yes, I don't think this has anything to do with his OWI in the sense of, we hope he's okay. Does he need to get help? How are we going to help him get past this, move forward, and any steps that he may need to do to get there? We're there to help us. Nothing to do with this. This has to do with we found an out. We have one. Are we going to write it? Which then brings my question too. If they go this route, and I don't have the contracts and all that other stuff, and they choose to do this, could Tony Romo go and sue CBS and say, hey, look, has anybody ever gotten a DUI and OWI? And did you terminate them for that? I find it hard to believe nobody for CBS has ever gotten one at some point in their lifetime. And then does it stand up? Because look, you're so worried about your brand. Yes, I got this. It was wrong. Believe me, I need to do my time and serve my punishment. But does it rise to the level of terminating his contract? I don't. I mean, maybe it does, but this is something that happens all the time in this world. I don't think it's right, but it happens, and that's an awful harsh stance. I mean, they were pleading to get Sorsby back into college football for the gambling scandal, and they didn't throw him to the. Granted, he ended up on the curb, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, wow, this is a harsh punishment and a way you're trying to go. And that also tells me this isn't about it. It's
Right.
about just getting out of the contract however we can, and we'll deal with the backlash and or lawsuits or anything else that comes from it down the road.
That's how I see it. And like you said, we don't have specifics. So we're left to guess a little bit. I mean, let's start first with the obvious. There's an extraordinary amount of money in broadcasting and in football. Look no further than Tom Brady and his $350 million contract from Fox. So if CBS owes Tony Romo $72 million, if they had to eat all of it to keep him out of court, they will. If they have to eat half of it and give him a chance to work next year, they will. In terms of dollar cents, they obviously aren't seeing the return on investment that they want. And then in terms of the contract, like you said, all depend. Does he have the moral turpitude thing, the morality clause? If you're involved, if you're even arrested, let alone convicted in anything, and they list him, then they've got that clause. Ultimately, it's how they handle it off, because they're handling it terribly in public. But if they say to him, look, Tony, 50 million, then, and oh, by the way, you got to sign this thing. You're not going to claim that we're firing you, not only because of this incident, but you don't have an alcoholism problem. We're not firing you with a disability. 50 million? Okay, sign here. I think it's so obvious they want to get rid of him that to me, the question now is, are they more intent on the promotion from within with the fairly green JJ Watt, or are they going to go after Greg Olson from Fox? Because as a fan, I've moved on. I don't know where Tony Romo will wind up, I'm going to say, on Amazon, not this season, but next, when Herb Street's contract is up, and so is Al Michaels, and Amazon says Al Michaels is 100. We're going to move on. Herb Street, everybody thinks is meh. He's not bad. He's just meh. Let's bring in Romo and somebody else and move forward. There we go. Let's see if that one holds up.
Yeah, and if you're forced to pay him, he doesn't have to be the number one spot. Move him to the lowest team for CBS and send him to the Browns Panther games and those games. You're not going to watch a single good game in the NFL, and just look, we got to pay you. You're no longer number one. But that would be more based on your front. Look, you have these issues. You're not doing your homework. You have all that. Who knows? Maybe he'll turn it around, and then you could slowly move him back up. But that's where I would go with him. Is look, you've lost the right to be the number one team, the number two team, the number three team, the number four team, the number five team. You're down to 6, 7, or 8.
The again, boring people with contract stuff. I know that in these broadcasting contracts for all of these guys, and this is how Greg Olson got bumped. Greg Olson was making $10 million, but the minute you're not the number one, you go down to this number. How that would all affect other people, I don't know. Because in my mind, I was thinking something similar. Rather than bump him down to 6th, if CBS cared, which I don't think they do, he's suspended for the whole season and we'll reevaluate. We're going to pay him. Hopefully he'll use the money to go get whatever help he needs if he does. Or this is just a one-time thing that, yes, it's wrong, and there's his punishment. If suspended for a year, we'll reevaluate. I don't know why they don't just do that now. That just pushes everything down the road. Tony's clearly going to go, crap, this is serious, and revisit it in the offseason. Again, maybe contractual stuff. I don't know.
And before you come back, you got to bring me a certificate of completion of rehab, whatever it is. You got to get a doctor to sign off on it, saying it wasn't anything and everything has been resolved.
And if you don't do that, go work for somebody else. I mean, it's a very reasonable, again, you and I seem to be able to solve these things. Yes, we know we don't know all of the inside. There's a way out of these things that just seem to escape people left and right lately. We told you yesterday that Steelers head coach Mike McCarthy said that the team yesterday again. So he said it Tuesday. He said it Tuesday morning. We reported it yesterday, which was Tuesday. Mike McCarthy said he was still deciding whether to play quarterback Aaron Rodgers against the Packers tomorrow. Preseason's here. Aaron Rodgers said McCarthy has expressed to him that he wants to play in the preseason. Aaron Rodgers has said nothing like that publicly. We read you yesterday his jerk-like statement of, I'll play if I'm asked to, but I don't want to. Now he's gone further in his own media sessions, saying, quote, it's preseason. It's not real football. If I do, great. If not, great. Teams don't run anything anymore. They just really don't. They were going to show you a lot of different things they were working on. It was like a real day at camp. But as that got on, it just stopped being like that. It just turned into fights. And nobody showed anything because somebody's brother is on the staff and they might show him the film. Okay, so Rodgers does what he does. He's rambling. He's right. I mean, he is right. I mean, in the sense of what camp has turned into and all that. But this jerky baby, I'm not going to play. I don't want to play. And I know I have issues with Aaron Rodgers, but that's all I hear him saying.
It is. He is right, which is why I've been saying, for a while now, just get rid of preseason. We don't need it. College football starts. Look, week 1 counts. There's no getting ready. It's your job to get your team ready for that first week without having any rust or anything. And that's, to me, this is such an easy fix. That's how you get to that point of the 18 games, 21 weeks schedule. You just move up the start time, a couple of weeks or whatever you have to do. It's an easy fix, but who am I to say?
Right. And I do want to believe that's going to happen in 28-ish or 29, whenever they get to the CBA. The thing, I hate driving even deeper into an Aaron Rodgers story anymore, but the thing about this one, it's so Aaron Rodgers. Here you have Hall of Fame quarterback reunited with a Super Bowl winning coach, and they can't even publicly get on the same page. McCarthy, we're going to play Aaron, and he wants to play. Aaron, I don't want to play. It's a waste of time. I'll do it if I have to. I mean, they're not even close to messaging here.
We're seeing it publicly, what we've been asking from the get-go. There's a reason they got divorced. This is marrying your ex-wife the second time. And all the same stuff comes up again. And if it's now getting to the public, it doesn't mean that it's just now surfacing. It has surfaced between the two that we just don't know. Probably since the day that they went and started, talking to Rodgers about returning, not even when he signed his contract.
Meanwhile, Atlanta Falcons quarterback Tua Tagovailoa will start Friday in the team's preseason opener against the Broncos, as all the teams are trying to figure out who do we start, when do we start, how long do they play, etc. That, by the way, does not mean that Tua is the starter for week 1 of the regular season. Despite the decision to start him Friday, head coach Kevin Stefanski said it's still too early to tab a starting quarterback. We're not there for week 1, said Stefanski. Well, that could be because Michael Penix Jr. hasn't even been fully cleared to practice. Was this a statement that needed to be made?
That's Captain Obvious for you. If he hasn't been cleared, he can't start.
I don't think they're looking at that. Who's their third-rated quarterback? Because I don't think. Oh, Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush is
Good. I'm sure they're looking at him as a possibility.
And I would ask, why aren't you starting Cooper Rush? Just here you go. Let's find out if he's going to make our roster. We know Tua's starting the first week because Penix isn't even practicing yet. Tua's going to start. You imagine if Tua goes out and gets hurt, and now we're to Cooper Rush until Penix can come back and or when Tua might come back.
And a worse story, and I do mean a worse story, is if Tua gets another concussion.
Yes.
We were talking yesterday, preseason football. How much do we watch? Does it matter? Do you try to watch your starters? That led to yesterday's rant. You've had a lot of rants this week about getting rid of preseason. You're right. And so now so what are we going to watch? What would you want? Joe Burrow, everybody for the Bengals. They're going to play like a series. A snap or two. Yeah, but hey, we're going to watch. Okay. Here's one I'll watch just out of curiosity. Las Vegas Raiders rookie quarterback Fernando Mendoza will get plenty of experience tomorrow in the opener against the Arizona Cardinals, as coach Clint Kubiak said this morning. Starters will play. Mendoza will get some snaps with a few members of the first team offensive line, although he didn't go into detail on the team's plan for the number of snaps and drives that players will participate in, which means very few. Kubiak said Mendoza has had an impressive training camp in terms of preparation, translating it onto the practice field, and mentioned that Mendoza has done a good job of making adjustments and not making the same mistakes twice. That is a game I'll watch. I know I don't learn a ton, but just to see him play at NFL speed, even against second stringers, there's a curiosity factor I want to check in on.
That is one of the games I will watch. I'm looking forward to that. That's one of the highest totals, if not the highest total on the board for these preseason games with the Cardinals against the Raiders. And, we're probably curious to see if we'll see Kirk Cousins, but I think they'll all go out there. I want to see how Carson Beck plays. The other game I'm looking forward to for a couple of different reasons. The Cleveland Browns against the Chicago Bears. I want to see what this train wreck is, because I think you were talking yesterday on Deshaun Watson. Where are we going with him? The all-pro quarterback, Shedeur Sanders. So I'd really love to see what Cleveland's going to do. And sorry, I might be jumping ahead of you. And on this, I do apologize. But when Ben Johnson comes out and says his goal is to be the highest scoring team, well, we got to show it in preseason because we got to get geared up for 40 points a game. So are they going to go out and actually push it against the Bears too? I mean, the Browns too. That's where that game has me intrigued too.
So here's what I have on all of that. First of all, there's been chatter that Browns all-pro quarterback Shedeur Sanders has been dealing with a blister on his hand that's affected his throwing. This morning in his press conference, all-pros Shedeur confirmed he's had a blister on his hand. He also noted that it isn't affecting him now. So according to him, it's a non-story. As of this morning, when this story was written, all-pro Sanders, is expected to get plenty of playing time in Cleveland's first preseason game on Saturday against Chicago, although at that time, head coach Todd Monken had not named who the starter would be. So then Todd Monken had his press conference this morning, and he said that he will inform all-pro Shedeur Sanders and non-all-pro Deshaun Watson of his plan after today's practice. What is it? It's only 2:30 in Cleveland. They got time. But both will play in the game. Who will start at the position in the first preseason game? We don't know. But he went back to, so Monken's head exploded yesterday saying it was a crap day. And he seemed to just like it was like, no offense, but it's like a woman when she gets going on a fight and starts bringing up 18 things from the last 10 years that don't have anything to do with what you're talking. That was Monken yesterday. Sorry, it's a stereotype by gender, and you all know it's true. He's back to being Monken today, but although he's still saying nothing, he's gonna decide who starts tomorrow after today's practice, and said, quote, one's gonna start this week, the other's gonna start next week. I want to see the quarterback play a half and get a 2-minute drive. So that's the plan. The plan now is back to what we told you the plan was on Monday. One starts, the other one finishes, and then they rotate it the following week. The Browns will be the one team playing their two top-end quarterbacks basically all preseason if they stick to Monken's original plan.
which is what they should do, and I'm hoping I get to see that. My question is does he go and tell who's going to start and announce it to the team that this is who it's going to be, and then 45 minutes later in his press conference go in a different direction like he did the last time with Shador is our number one today, and oh, by the way, 45 minutes later, after he'd already told Deshaun Watson, who knew he was the number one for the day, then we'll just Monk, and like I said, you lose your mind and common sense when you go to this Browns organization.
And do you remember what Monken said to defend? Exactly what you described perfectly. His quote was, "I changed my mind."
Yeah.
Well, like
Great.
you said, Steve, great, okay, for now. He doesn't even know who the starter is, and once he does, no guarantee. All right, to the Ben Johnson story. So we had Dak Prescott is walking around with a shirt that says Gotti, G-O-T-I. Greatest offense. What is it?
Greatest? Is. No, sorry.
They is. No, you're right. Greatest offense there is. Not they is, but there is. Well, Ben Johnson says, oh, yeah, we want to set a high bar this season for the Bears. Johnson has outlined his goals, his second as the Bears head coach, and said, quote, well, you've got 31 other teams coming to training camp saying our goal is to win the Super Bowl. I want more than that. I want to have the highest scoring offense ever. And, of course, he knows it. He says, which happens to be the 2013 Denver Broncos. I know how many points per game they scored, 37.9, and I want to surpass them. I want shutouts. I want blowouts. And, quote, great, super motivational, or way too high and unnecessary expectations?
One, way too high and unnecessary expectations. And two, what a wonderful way to lose every friend in the NFL, because if you are going with blowouts and shutouts and running the scores up so that you are the highest scoring team in the NFL, you're not going to have a whole lot of handshaking to do at midfield following any games, because no opponent coach is going to walk out and shake your hand.
I hadn't even thought it. Ben Johnson, who is still revered as an extraordinary coach and offensive mind, he does seem to have not made few friends in this Chicago thing.
He has not. Dan Campbell loves him. I loved him as an offensive coordinator. I'm not convinced. He might be like Josh McDaniel, just one of the greatest offensive minds, offensive coordinators, and honestly should never get a head coaching job. That still remains to be seen. He did such a wonderful job last year with Caleb Williams, and their 7 come from behind wins in like the last 2 minutes of those games. Can they duplicate it? I'm banking they cannot.
A few other stories from camps around the NFL. Quarterback Jalen Hurts for the Eagles' speed has been standing out at training camp. Members of the defense are taking notice as Steve laughs for some reason. I don't know why I get mocked for these things. Pro Bowl defensive tackle Jalen Carter says, quote, I don't know what it is, but when I'm running after him, it's like a movie. I'm the one going slow, end quote. New Eagles offensive coordinator Sean Mannion has been dialing up a healthy amount of designed quarterback runs this summer, signaling that Hurts' legs will still be a part of the attack. He's been a running force for years, obviously, and he says he has made no notable changes to his training regimen, and he, quote, doesn't feel any different than I have felt in the past, end quote. What is so funny about Jalen Hurts running during camp and that being reported?
It just, I struggle with it. One, how does listening to this look? And like a movie means it is drastically better. How does one run faster at, say, 27 years old than they did at 23 years old? I don't think that ever really happens unless you lose weight. So is he calling Jalen Hurts, look, man, last year you were fat. You couldn't even run that. Yeah, tubby back there. And now he's calling it out in an indirect way. And now, hey, look, great. You finally got on a diet. You lost a little weight. Now you can run. And look, you lost a lot of weight because you're running so fast. It's like in a movie. Or is he just blowing smoke and trying to?
It's Jalen Carter. He's not running that far away.
Right. And he's not running. So I took the whole thing as funny. Is he calling Jalen Hurts like really fat from last year? And that's how he got faster?
He did. By the way, he did. Even though he says he being Jalen Hurts that he didn't make any changes to his off-season regimen. He did come into camp 10 pounds lighter. So, yeah, he's not as, I don't, tubby, but yeah, there's something missing there. I don't know that it amounts to movie speed.
Right. Is the 10 pounds? I mean, was he running with the parachute on his back and all of that? And I don't get it. I think it's just blowing smoke, or personally a shot at Jalen Hurts and what he did last year.
You want to believe that because of all the stories too about Jalen Hurts not being that well liked and such in the locker room. By the way, as we mentioned, the A's and the Rays are going at it. We talked about the preview and Drew Rasmussen. They just quickly add up because I got the game on. Drew Rasmussen, AL ranks as a pitcher, first in on base percentage, first in strikes to walk ratio, first in WHIP, .91. Second in OPS, second in walks per 9 innings, and third in opposing average. He's got a 2.75 ERA. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, he's been dominant. It really has. The whole season. He hasn't even had a slump anywhere during this season.
Back to the NFL and 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey, who missed practice again yesterday. Offensive coordinator Clay Kubiak said it's tightness. Now, this is deja vu all over again for a lot of people who remember McCaffrey had tightness in his calf throughout the 2024 training camp. And there were all those, oh, he's going to start Monday night. He's starting. And then who was it that's not even in football anymore or whatever on Friday was told he would be starting, and we didn't find out from McCaffrey until Monday. Anyways, same story, because Coach Kyle Shanahan said he's not concerned. He said, my concern would be if he was playing through the tightness like a lot of people do and then hurting something bad. Christian's a guy who needs to get prepared for week 1. We're pretty confident in what he's done, end quote. I don't know what to believe anymore with the Niners, with injuries, with all these leagues, with these, oh, it's no big deal pronouncements, and then pretty soon people are having surgery. McCaffrey's got his history. I'm a Niner fan. I can't be objective, so I just... Does McCaffrey have to play that much in preseason? He's Christian McCaffrey.
No, I don't. Just hold in, just like I said with Jahmyr Gibbs. My question with the 49ers, though, is I could be wrong on this, but I thought Jordan James, who was supposed to be their number 2, went on the IR. So he's going to miss the beginning of the season. And Isaac Correndo, who I was high on a couple of years ago, to my knowledge, he is still hurt too. So if McCaffrey can't go, you have no wide receivers, and what? You're down to your number 4 running back to go in week 1 or whatever it is. I am starting to get really concerned at the skill positions. And Brock Purdy, we've seen when he doesn't have his weapons, because we know Kittle's not going to be back either. Good luck, Brock. We expect you to carry the team, but you've shown in the past you can't when we take some of your weapons away. And this is going to be losing a lot of weapons if McCaffrey can't go, James can't go, Horrendo can't go. I don't know who 4th is.
Well, and the thing with Horrendo, he's not even practicing still. He's on that list he's on the PUP list. And he was supposed to be the backup, the guy that you can't, in theory, the Niners aren't going to go very far without Christian McCaffrey all season. There's no reason yet to believe that's going to happen, but you can get through a game or two if they need to. But look, overall, on one hand, you want to dismiss these things, these headlines you see as a Niner fan of, oh my God, this is a bad sign. Oh, it's so, and I kind of made up a story yesterday, the day before on the show. I was like, well, it's good. We're having all the injuries now. Instead, we're making things up. This is very concerning. Not just the number of injuries, the who of the injuries it should be very concerning.
Yeah. Niner fans are hoping we'll be healthy by week 7. We're getting the injuries out right now. We're only going to miss September, October. By November, we will be 100% healthy and able to make a run. Now to throw a bright spot out there, because I have looked it up. Black, running back the Niners took in the 3rd round. The bright spot there would be you got a rookie. He's getting a lot of time, first team, developing him, and quickly. It's not like he's practicing with the 3rd team. And maybe I'm grasping for anything here. Maybe that'll help push his development a little bit faster so he can contribute more this year with the team.
Go 4th string running back.
Yay!
Non-story, and then a real story, and then we're done with the NFL for today. Non-story. Andy Reid, says the headlines, hinted at retirement when asked about Patrick Mahomes. Of course, coming off an injury, etc. Andy Reid, 68. He signed a 5-year, $100 million extension as the Chiefs head coach in 2024. And while he enters the new season determined to lead the Chiefs back to the Super Bowl, one thing not on his mind is finding a new quarterback. That's how we know he's thinking retirement. Reid was asked what his future holds. Patrick Mahomes' future. And Reid said, quote, "I don't worry about it because he'll be here a lot longer than I am," end quote. Well, clearly, Andy Reid is imminently retiring by saying out loud, "I'm under contract through 2029, 3 more seasons. Mahomes, who's 30, is going to be here longer than I am." He didn't say anything other than, maybe I won't sign in 2030. This is a dumb story. Please.
It is, and I would have preferred if he came out with the clause, the addition to that sentence he said, "and I will be here as long as Patrick Mahomes is here and playing at a top level."
There you go. God. Or don't even answer it. Jeez, dumb. All right. Last one, though, from the Chiefs. No surprise to a lot of us. NFL evaluators are increasingly and loudly skeptical of Travis Kelce entering his 14th season. One scout is flatly declaring the Chiefs tight end, quote unquote, done. An advanced NFL scout, as quoted by Jason La Canfora, said, quote, "Kelce is done. It's over. What you saw last year, that's what he is," end quote. Around the league, multiple sources say that Kelce, this was going to happen anyways, has been tagged with the nickname Mr. Swift. Sorry, that's just guys. But a lot of people are saying he's past his prime. He's finished as a difference maker, and evaluators now view Kelce as little more than a short distance decoy. If he is he even an effective decoy? It's kind of like, fine, toss it. If he's this fallen off, I'm not sure he's even a Deebo Samuel level of decoy. He did have career lows last year. Former NFL general manager Mike Tannenbaum said he wouldn't even have signed him. Kelce's production can be linked to the start of his relationship with Taylor Swift, which began in 2023, or it could be that's when he entered his mid-30s. So
I would be reaching out to Kelce and say, "Look, you need to get a hold of Jalen Hurts. I need to know how he put on that speed. You need to make this like it's something out of the movie to get that speed back. Whatever he did, you need to follow it because this is what we need." And this goes back to you and I talked about. He should have retired with his brother Jason at the time. The last 2 years, he hasn't. He's a shell of himself. He's one of the greatest tight ends of all time. I'll never take that away from him. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but age, as you said, is undefeated. Father Time's undefeated. It's caught up with him. He's not going to get faster. Sorry, Jalen Hurts. He's really not going to get faster. And he's trying to get one more ring, one more bit of glory, ride it as long as he can. But I thought he should have left 3 years ago.
maybe Jalen Carter wasn't taking a shot at Jalen Hurts. Maybe Jalen Carter was trying to tell us he'd gained weight in the offseason.
Oh, yeah, that's what, yeah. I put 40 pounds on. I now run a 6'7", 40 out there. So, yeah, he is moving a lot faster than me.
Look, the Kelce thing, it's one of those unknowable things in the sense of you marry the biggest pop star on the planet and one of the 5 biggest well-known humans on the planet, your life's going to change, period. It is. You happen to fall in love with her, you're all these differences, you're going to her tours, etc. Is that in and of itself what caused Travis Kelce to go downhill? We'll never know because of the age factor. I still say we were right. He should have just retired when he did. And like you said, he's just trying to pad the stats, get a ring. I don't want to see him get hurt. When we did I don't have it right in front of me, but when we did what did we have? Do you remember what we had the Chiefs at initially? Here it is. I do have it. For their record, we initially had them at 10-7 when we went through. We'll have to see what the schedule looks like. I the whole offseason have been saying I'm not convinced they're a playoff team with or without a great Travis Kelce. I think the Chiefs are going to have to fight for it.
No, I'm with you. I think they are going to have to fight for it. And as much has gone on in his life, I mean, they won that last Super Bowl. Well, they had that season. But with their podcast has taken off and has exploded. His popularity everywhere. Taylor Swift. You can't tell me he's anywhere near as focused now going into the season as he was 5 years ago. There isn't a chance. He can't be that good of an athlete to not have lost focus. And I don't blame him. I would have as well. So enjoy where you're at. You're in the spotlight. Go out, get your endorsement deals, and continue going off of that success and go and enjoy your life. Have some fun. I can't knock him for that. I don't know why he's still playing football.
And in addition to what you mentioned, he's got movie roles. He's hosting a TV show, and then he's got this restaurant with Mahomes that has all these lawsuits going on. It's endless. And like you said, and this is what a lot of us lose sight of, I think, with our athletes, because we meet them so young. And it feels like Travis Kelce's been around forever. He's in his mid 30s. He's married to the biggest pop star on the planet. You want to talk about the time to have fun? This is it. This is the moment.
And the other thing I would bring up to him in this case, and I'm going to Barry Sanders here. Look, how many players are not able to walk away and live their life with a quality of life after the NFL? Because so many players, they talk about like 70% of the players when they leave the NFL have some kind of permanent disability. Look, you don't have that right now. Enjoy it. You've won championships. You've done everything. Enjoy the rest of your life, and you can walk and hopefully have that quality of life to enjoy everything going forward and not be the Earl Campbell who can barely walk, which is such a shame.
A little more baseball after this.
Rob and Steve continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
The first time Corey walked into my home, I came around the corner, extended my right hand to shake it, and said to him, "Wow, you're big." And that would be Corey from QuickDumpsters.com. Quick is spelled wrong intentionally. Quick, Q-U-I-K Dumpsters.com. That's QuickDumpsters.com. Corey's yet another maggot launching his own locally owned and operated business, and boy, did I need him, and really we all do. Things pile up, you get frustrated, you keep saying, "We need to make a dump run." Pretty soon it's more than a dump run, and now you need to rent a truck or have one of those ugly upside down box cars parked in front of your house that you fill up yourself. Or you do like I did, you call Corey at QuickDumpsters.com. In my case, my house had fallen into complete disarray as my late wife Christina had lost her 2-year battle with congestive heart failure, and amongst the many things left were gathering her things and finding what to donate, what had to just go in that pile of stuff where we were both going, why did we ever buy this? And it all could have been so overwhelming had Corey not just walked in, taken charge, and removed dozens of boxes of total junk, unusable dog kennels, desks that were falling apart, a worthless old smoker that couldn't be fixed, bag after bag of crap, and I can't remember what else. He was quick, spelled wrong, Q-U-I-K, quiet and clean. Well, he wasn't clean. I mean, he was. But I'm not commenting on his hygiene. I meant that his work was clean. He swept everything when he was done, and the house looked like he'd never even been there. Corey's the real deal, and I couldn't be more proud and happy to call him a brand new advertiser. His story's incredible, his dedication unmatched, and his motivation to succeed larger than he is, and that's saying something. Quotes are free. You don't even have to have them over to your house. Just send him some pics or videos, and you'll get your price, schedule your day and time, and watch someone else get that junk out of your house. Go to QuickDumpsters.com. Quick, Q-U-I-K, Dumpsters.com. Quick, Q-U-I-K, Dumpsters.com. Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP, M-A-P, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com.
At the Rob and Steve Sports Show, we only support responsible sports betting and gambling. With that said, according to Rob's favorite Chinese restaurant, your lucky numbers today are 12, 14, 17, 20, 28, and 36. Good luck. Email us your results at ras@theradnetwork.com.
You got 5-day baseball games going. In the 7th, the Twins are beating the Orioles 7-4. In the top of the 6th, Cardinals 5-1 over the Phillies. Rays are shutting out the A's 2-0. Top of the 3rd, Diamondbacks, Rockies just got started. We'll fast track our way through some of these. Blake Snell returned to the Dodgers and struck out 7 of the first 10 batters he faced last night. Gave up back-to-back hits in his return to the mound his back-to-back hits and then the strikeouts. And the Dodgers, after being sidelined for 3 months, he struck out the side on 13 pitches in the first inning against the Royals. Snell left right before 6 innings, after 6 innings rather, with the game still tied. 1 run, 3 hits, struck out 10 while walking 1. First time since he pitched against Atlanta on May 9th when he went on the IL, had the little bone things, etc. You keep talking about Snell, and the last time he came back from an injury, he ramped up slowly. This was a great outing. Granted, it's against the Royals, but it does reaffirm the D word that you always bring up with the Dodgers, the depth. We can hear all these bad things going on with the Dodgers, that depth. And if Snell is Snell, hello.
No doubt. 10K, 6 innings, only 3 hits. That's hitting mid-season form. I was hoping it'd take him about 4 or 5 starts to get to this form. Didn't happen. And yes, against KC. KC has played the Dodgers tough. I mean, they forced it into extra innings in last night's game. They rallied in the top of the 8th. I'm a little concerned with the bullpen, but as Glass now comes back, Snell's come back, they can move Robleski possibly into the pen. And that, for me, the 2 things that have really been hurting, the 3 things really hurting the Dodgers is their catchers still. I still question whether or not they're catching and their ability to call games and have that rapport with their pitchers is there. They need somebody, and Mookie Betts had a really nice game last night, but they need somebody besides Ohtani and Freeman to really be driving this offense. Reminds me a little bit of the Yankees. Other players should be having a lot better years than they're having, and it's hurting their bullpen. Their bullpen has been so inconsistent this year. They'll have games they're lights out, and then they'll have games they can't get anybody out. And they need to shore that up come playoff time too. Because if they get into a game against Drew Rasmussen in a World Series, and we're sitting 2-2 into extra innings, chances are the Dodgers might be in a little bit of a trouble.
The Padres, who were prolific at the trade deadline in this wild National League wild card race, are now tied as the other team. The Cubs are in. Phillies, Diamondbacks, Padres are all tied with identical records, 64 and 57. You got to go to like the 18th rail to get to the tiebreaker. We don't have to do that because we're not quite there yet. And the Brewers now only have a 4-game lead over the Chicago Cubs. As the Brewers have lost 2 in a row and the Cubs have won 2 in a row, and they're going to, and last night, everything you said, Steve, Fernando Tatis Jr. is starting to come around. He hit another home run last night. Padres decimated the Brewers 11-2. They'll do it again today. Dustin May, in about 15 minutes, will go out for Milwaukee against trade deadline Robbie Ray.
Yeah, the Brewers went out and traded for Dustin May. They were hoping that Kyle Harrison would continue his way. He got lit up last night. That was an ugly game for the Brewers, but they got to find a way to win here. They've lost 2 straight to this Padres team. Dustin May has been really good in his last three. ERA a little over 1.5. His whip sitting right about one. They need him to continue doing that because they need help in that rotation on the back end. Robbie Ray, great pickup for the Padres, I think. They need him to get going again. Tough outing in his first outing. It was not very good, but he's been there before. He's been in these pennant runs, 2-1 in his last three, ERA of 2.6. But his whip's sitting around 1.5. He's got to control his walks. That's what gets Robbie Ray in trouble when he's walking batters. And the Padres playing great baseball. Hopefully, Robbie Ray can have a quality outing. And Merrill Kelly, center fielder for the Padres, has just been on a tear. Two more hits again last night. This guy's been playing unbelievable. He's taken his average in the last, I want to say, 2 to 3 weeks from something like 208 up to 247 because he's hitting like 380 in his last X amount of games.
As we mentioned, we can't get through everything. Diamondbacks can't lose to the Rockies. They chose to. That's why they're in a three-way tie with the Phillies and the Padres for the final two wild card spots. The Phillies, meanwhile, have Bryce Harper back in the outfield, and guess what? His left knee is sore. He initially injured the knee during a game on July 11th. That pain died down after the All-Star break, but it's back now that he's in right field in the wake of the Luis Arias acquisition, which moved 18 players around, which is impossible since that's twice the number of players you can have on the field. The Phillies went out and lost to the Cardinals 2-0 last night. The Phillies are a wild card team with the Diamondbacks, with the Padres. The Cardinals, they're only 3.5 back, but they got to go through the Marlins and the Padres and the Diamondbacks. There's so much going on. They're playing right now. Philadelphia is at St. Louis, and Philadelphia had thrown Zach Wheeler, but the Cardinals are up 5-1.
Yeah, Zach Wheeler couldn't get out of the fifth inning. It's 1-1 going into the bottom of the fifth, and all the damage was done, I believe, with 2 outs. Which really hurts. I mean, the Phillies last night, great outing by Christopher Sanchez, no runs, 6 innings, gave him a chance. And now Zach Wheeler, who is their ace, goes out 1-1 into the fifth inning and gives up 4 runs in the bottom of the fifth. And that was where my question with Luis Arias is he had to play second base. So as you said, they moved 18 players around, and I know it's not that many, but there's a reason the Phillies took Harper out of right field to keep him healthy. And now if he's facing injury again, no team should have to move 4 position players. You got 8 because your starting pitcher takes the 9. Half of your defensive alignment has to change to accommodate 1 player in a trade. That's crazy. I mean, you don't see that from any team really ever. Dombrowski felt this was the best move to let them be competitive, and right now, I'm questioning. I was questioning it then, but if you're not getting wins out of Christopher Sanchez and Zach Wheeler, the Phillies are in a little bit of a trouble.
Cubs rallied from behind, beat the Nationals 8-6 with Pete Crow Armstrong, one of the 3 that homered for Chicago. Steve made fun of me for even questioning the Atlanta Braves yesterday. So Martin Perez pitched 6 scoreless innings. Matt Holson homered, as did Ozzie Albies, and the Braves shut out the Mets 4-0. Let's get to the exciting one. Kevin McGonigal drove in 3 runs. Drew Anderson tossed 4 innings of 1-run ball in his 4th start of the year. And the Tigers, yes, the Tigers, without Miser Skubal, beat the Cleveland Guardians 6-0. Detroit won their first game against Cleveland after an 0-6 start, suffering a 4-game sweep in May and losing both games of a June series. And here they are, the Tigers, a game and a half ahead of the Cleveland Guardians in the AL Central, and only 2.5 back of the Chicago White Sox. And in that wild card race, American League, Yankees, Sox, they're in solid right now. The Rangers barely in, and a half game behind them, this little engine that could, the Detroit Tigers, who are trying to fulfill one of our wishes for the season. And they are playing again today. They will host Cleveland in a couple hours from now. Yeah, about 3 hours from now. Foster Griffin is going against Framber Valdez.
And I love it. Tigers only a half a game out of the wild card race. Very efficient yesterday. 6 runs on 6 hits. That's how you do it. Too bad they couldn't do this when Scooble was there early on in the season. When Scooble went out, they're winning now without him. How come they were so bad when he went down with injury? But tonight's game, big game. Foster Griffin, he's the pitcher that the Guardians brought in from the Nationals, was sitting at 12-2, I think it was when they acquired him. He has been struggling as of late, did not have a debut that was very good for the Guardians. His last three is 1-2, ERA of almost 8, and his whip is sitting at 1.7. That's not the pitcher they acquired. They need him to go out and get something done. Framber Valdez, 7-7 on the season, not the free agent star that they thought they brought in to pair up with Scooble to lead them to that division. But he's pitched really good as of late. He's 2-0 in his last three. His ERA sitting a little under 2. And keep it going, Tigers. Find a way to do it, because I'm cheering for you, and so is Rob.
Imagine if, just for fun, if the Tigers won tonight and the Rangers lost, the Tigers are your new wild card team tomorrow from the AL West. From the AL, sorry, they're the third team. What a story. Have a great day. We're back tomorrow.
This has been a presentation of the Rob and Steve Sports Show, brought to you by the Rad Network and is copyrighted by the radnetwork.com and Williams Broadcasting for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, accounts, or descriptions of whatever Rob and Steve just talked about without the express permission of the Rad Network, Williams Broadcasting, and Rob's really mean lawyers is prohibited.